Yo, what up, y'all? I'm just gonna dive right in. So, I came across a interview with Phil Spencer. Oh yeah, good old Uncle Phil. So basically, he's just gonna go over some things about Game Pass, and Xbox future and the direction that they want to go in with gaming. And I would like to say that. I would like to say this before I start the video with him. Competition is good, man, because if we didn't have competition, bro, do you know how much Sony would be slacking right now? They would not be bringing us the things that we've been asking for, not even half the things that we have been asking for, or even attempting to make a PlayStation Plus Premium to even compete with Game Pass. So a lot of people that's on all those little ponies and all those fanboys that's defending everything Jim Ryan does, and you don't want competition, you got to look at it on the brighter side, bro. They would not be competing like this if Xbox was not around. If they only had Nintendo and Sony, you wouldn't even probably even care about Sony all that much, because the games would be flatlined. They won't be putting their best foot forward. So it's good that we do have Xbox and PlayStation going at it, So we're just gonna jump right into the video, man. So here we go.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be on Tech Talk for my first time. Looking forward to it.
So let's look at the big picture first. The industry of gaming has developed from a niche industry with arcade games such as Crystal Quest, which I played myself when I was a little bit younger, to a thriving, creative industry, a powerhouse. How do you describe the industry today?
Yeah, I always start from a framing of just the people on the planet. There are a little over 7 billion people on planet Earth. About 4 billion people who are connected to the internet in some way, most of them on phones. 3 billion people today play video games, which is like staggering to think about. Nearly half of the world's population plays video games somewhere. And to your point about the kind of energy in the industry, when you have that many people playing on all continents, people of all kinds, you have an equally vibrant creator community of people who are building games, telling stories, building video games of their lived experience wherever they might be from, that can then instantly be shared to the billions of other players who play video games. So you have this market that has very exciting players, as you talk about, like everywhere, different kinds of games, and creators from everywhere telling their story from their part of the world. And I just love the fact that our industry is as much about the creation of video games as it is the play of video games.
So what is your vision for the future?
If I rewind, you talked about the 80s. I'm old enough to maybe even go back to the 70s of playing video games. The video game market used to be very locked up. It was, you had retail where you went into stores and there were boxes lined up and you decided what game you were gonna buy. And there were only a handful of creators on the planet, big publishers, because they owned all of the distribution, the retail distribution of video games and how you print discs. Today, you and I could go create a video game company tomorrow, and we could go build a game, and through many different mechanisms, we could deliver that game to anybody who wants to play it anywhere. And at Microsoft, with our gaming strategy, we're on a strategy of uniting creators everywhere with players anywhere on any device. We obviously build a video game console called the Xbox. We love the console. We deliver all of our games on PC as well for people who want to play on PC. But we also recognize that in many parts of the planet, people aren't going to buy a game console. They're not going to go buy a gaming PC. They're going to want to play on the device that they already have. So we've invested a lot in cloud streaming technology to allow us to open up markets that might not be accessible via the kind of traditional hardware-based methods.
So what you're saying is that the gaming industry is becoming truly global. So how do you see Europe in the gaming industry?
Well, the great thing about Europe is it has a long history in the creation side of the business. Some of the world's biggest games were made in Europe. And there are pockets of different kinds of creativity. England has its British humor and it shows up in video games. And you have your PC heritage in some of your Eastern European markets. And just your artistic creative capability in Central Europe that shows up in the creations that happen there. And I see it continuing to grow. The strength of us as an employment industry. Video games employ hundreds of thousands of people, and people make a livelihood building video games and working in the video game industry. And I see that continuing to grow everywhere, including Europe. And obviously some of our most important markets are right here when we think about places where we find customers. And we have great teams in place in different markets in Europe that engage with the local communities. Just a couple weeks ago, Gamescom, which is one of the biggest game shows anywhere in Cologne, Germany, we had a big Xbox presence there, and I think they had over 200,000 consumers come through the Gamescom show, which is awesome, just amazing. So this continues to be a very active and vibrant part of the game industry in an area that we love supporting.
And there is a lot of gamers in Europe.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate a little bit about the developers community as well?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've been able to do is invest in our own studios here in Europe, which has been useful. We have many teams now that are part of Team Xbox, but are based here in Europe building video games. Because while video games are global, I still think the unique culture behind the teams that are building games shows up in the games that are built. Sometimes it's explicit where somebody's going to tell a story. We're shipping a game this fall called Pentiment, which is about medieval Germany, and it's very German in its game. And that's like an explicit talk about a certain culture. But there's also kind of subconscious ways that our cultural elements of our teams show up in our games, choices that they will make. And the diversity of the studios that we have, not only where they are, but even the makeup of the teams, the people on the teams themselves, is very, very important to our creative output. So ensuring that we're investing in local development in Europe, we continue to invest in growing the community of Xbox players here in Europe. Both sides of those markets, I think, are very fundamental to our future growth.
And cultural diversity is really important in Europe. But let me switch gears a little bit. So Microsoft wants to get Activision Blizzard King in its fold. What is the reasoning for the deal? What's behind it?
The primary thing that attracts us to, I'll just shorten it to say ABK, Activision Blizzard King, is honestly their mobile capability. Us as Microsoft, we know that our DNA as a company is not in mobile. We don't have a successful mobile platform today. As a company, we come from PC. In the gaming space, we come from PC and console. And yet most of the players on the planet today play on their phones. And when we looked at ABK, a vast majority of the players that play games from Activision Blizzard King are playing mobile versions of their games. Whether it's the King games like Candy Crush that many people play on their phones, but they've also done a really good job building mobile versions of some of their kind of classic core games. Mobile Call of Duty just crossed $1 billion in lifetime revenue. They just launched a mobile version of Diablo, which is one of their Blizzard franchises. And it was really their mobile capability that we thought was first and foremost unique for us in terms of what Xbox was that would move us forward. The second thing was their deep history in PC and this Blizzard part of it, the B in the ABK, their history with World of Warcraft and StarCraft, Diablo as really kind of fundamental PC franchises, we also think could help build out our portfolio as we're looking at just where Xbox goes and where Game Pass goes. We think it'll be a big help.
You have been a passionate gamer yourself, and you're still, as I hear. I will not ask what your favorite game is now, but tell us, what would you advise young adults that wanna make a living in the gaming industry? What are the skill sets they would need?
One of the really interesting things about building a video game is it's a unique intersection between art and technology. I mean, so much of what Microsoft does is really more technology driven than I'd say artistically driven. But the things that make video games great, it could be the music soundtrack. It could be the animation or the art that's done. It could be the storytelling that's written in a game. And yet at the same time, the game has to run successfully. It can't crash. It needs to have the performance that we expect in terms of its frame rate and its resolution and all the technology that is important in running a great video game. So the nice thing about the video game industry and even our own teams is we have composers full-time. In our staff, we have artists, we have concept artists, we have animators, in addition to having our traditional program managers and project managers and developers that we have. There's just a multitude of different disciplines that are involved in building a video game. So I'm biased because I've been in this industry so long, but I think it's an amazing space for young people who are looking for a career to realize you can be in the technology industry and yet be an artist. And video games offer that kind of, I think, unique option.
And that was pretty much Uncle Phil over there at Xbox, pretty much breaking down all of the things that they want to bring to the table and let everybody know that, Xbox is here to stay and they're going to continue to bring us value and make their fan base happy. So you guys already know what to do, man. Make sure you smash that like, that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you guys can be notified on all of the new latest and greatest news in these gaming streets. And if you would like to jump into the Xbox ecosystem, you already know what to do, man. Just drop down in the description, click the link and download it to your PC, your mobile, your Steam Deck, your phones, even your TVs. Now smart TVs have Game Pass, so it's not really hard to even get in the Xbox Game Pass ecosystem, so this is something I would like to see Sony bring in the future, but we don't know. Jim Ryan, all that crying, we don't really know. He's over here, he's getting flued out over there, he's left, he's right, he's around the universe. We don't know what he wants to do. But hopefully soon they see the direction that Xbox is going in and they are willing and able to start to compete with cloud gaming like PlayStation Plus Premium. And if you can click that as well. If you have a PC, you actually can jump into the PlayStation ecosystem as well. So I'm gonna pretty much leave it right there, man, and talk to you guys later. Peace.